Hi pals, it's me, Artie, they them pronouns only. This week we are doing a little chat about America's Next Top Model and the one time they had an openly autistic person on the show. If you've ever watched America's Next Top Model, you could probably guess it didn't go super good, so I'm going to talk about that. A friend of mine basically reminded me that this was a thing. I used to watch America's Next Top Model kind of obsessively as a teenager. Where's the disordered eating crew at? Especially when you're not aware of those sorts of things. I just completely forgot that this person existed. So I re-watched all of the episodes of that season and made my notes. A little bit like how I did with Skins the other week. So we're here, we're ready. America's Next Top Model, it is not and has never been a particularly kind show. It kind of goes along with a lot of reality TV shows that a lot of things are genuinely just made up for entertainment purposes, disguised as for the benefit of the competitors or whatever. They are always fishing for your weaknesses, to get people to cry, to get people to snap. I mean, how many times has that one scene from America's Next Top Model with Tiffany gone viral and been a meme again? I was rooting for you, we were all rooting for you. That moment in itself was completely fucked. But that's not the point of today. Season 9, which I don't think I watched many after that season. I definitely kind of tapered off somewhere, maybe around cycle 12, if that. Last time I checked, there was like 24 cycles. And I was like, how? I think I watched the All-Stars, but besides that, I definitely stopped at some point because I was like, this show is bad. It does not bring me joy. So season 9, there is a girl called Heather who is autistic and ADHD. She does use the term Asperger's. I'm not going to whilst talking about this generally, but I just wanted to mention that for more context as well. And also, like, it was repeatedly brought up, it's a mild form of autism, which is not a thing. Autism is a spectrum for everybody, and nobody has like a static autism. Your traits vary day to day. Yeah, ignore, like, this is a great little like summer / pajama shirt, but the cut is so weird. Like, it's one of those oversized cuts that nobody has a body that fits in this. So the shoulders are literally down here, and I have really broad shoulders, my guy. The arms don't start, they're like, the whole arms need to be brought up by like a bunch. And I don't have the skill for that, and I don't have the money to get someone else to do that, and I'm not sure any of my family has the skill for that either. Anyway, back on topic. Heather definitely got a lot of shit from everybody. Nobody on this show understood autism or ADHD. I had a main focus on autism when making my notes and stuff, but yeah, episode 1, it was when they were doing the like original castings before they made their like final decision of their top like 20 or whatever girls. And she's pretty typical when it comes to the posture, the neck hump. She's quite nerdy. Her runway walk. And she is continually mocked for that throughout this season. She was told a lot as a child that she was really ugly, so she didn't feel very comfortable in her own skin growing up. Lots of comments about how she has these really intense eyes. She's generally one of the quieter ones, and that kind of continues through the show. And she has this, like, I think this was a comment that was mentioned as well, but she has like quite a heavy brow, which is quite common in autistic people, that unless you have learned certain kinds of masking. Like, I have quite overactive eyebrows because of masking and performing arts and stuff like that. But also there are definitely times like now where, and a lot through my childhood generally, where emotion doesn't really reach the eyebrows. Like most of my school pictures whereas like a smiling photo of me now would be more like, you know? Maybe that's why I watched this show, because there was so much analysis of tiny movements in the face for modelling and stuff like that. That makes sense. That makes so much sense. And like, she is just so cringe. Like, the secondhand embarrassment that happens so much watching this season. Literally when she enters the audition room, she goes, "Hey, pretty lady, Tyra." I was like, and like the judges all burst into laughter, take the piss. I'm like, no, don't do it, please. Don't do this to me. Yeah, everyone basically demands her to explain autism, which is such a mood. I think it's also very interesting that everyone only demands information about autism, and there really wasn't much thought or input, or I don't know, like ADHD just wasn't as big of a problem or a knowledge gap or what the fuck ever. It was all centered around autism. She said at one point in that first episode as well, "I'm trying not to step on too many toes, but if I do, then whoops." Which I felt that one. And she talks about how her, like, in her childhood, her friends had a lot of they had a hard time of understanding her, and she uses phrases like, "I was wired differently," and blah blah. But she was kind of a natural in front of a camera. Her photos are pretty much almost effortlessly amazing. Majority of the way through, her photos and stuff were incredible, but as we got to like closer to where her elimination was, they were, if you don't watch this other YouTuber whose name I always forget, but I will put it here. If you don't watch her videos, she is a professional photographer and she reacts to full episodes or parts of episodes from America's Next Top Model, and basically talks about how in this show they pick a winner from the very beginning. They already know who they're going to win. Everything else has to fit around that. When they've had enough of a particular person, they start inventing reasons to get rid of them. So this is basically what happens to Heather when it gets closer to when they eliminate her. Yeah, unfortunately she didn't win. Spoiler alert for this old as fuck season. Episode 2. This is something I really liked about this show. About this season in particular, is that everybody actually acknowledges it as a disability, and they use the word disability a lot. Heather does, the other girls in the house do, and that felt very forward. Like, that felt very liberating in a lot of ways, because like we are still fighting that now. So it was just nice that it was just like, oh yeah, she has a disability or whatever, whilst they're then being ableist, but at least they were like, yeah, she has a disability, rather than, she has a handicap. Which also feels very American. A lot of those kinds of like replacements for disabled seem much more American. I don't really come across a lot of those in the UK. Special needs is the main one. But yeah, everyone calls it a disability. And Heather calls it a disability. But like I said, she does keep emphasising it's a mild form of autism. One step forward, 2 steps back. And like, I just felt like this comment she made feels very similar to my autistic experience, just doing stuff. That her top priority being there was learning and just having a good experience. I'm like, a girl after my own heart. I think she's probably like in nearly 40 now. These like shows are kind of old. She spends a lot of time by herself drawing or writing when the others are like doing high energy chaotic social shit, like jumping in the pool and running around the house naked and all this sort of shit. And she says, when I was younger, I didn't know that people didn't understand me. And I hope I can get along with the other girls on the show. Like, there's a lot of really weird clips put in from where they've obviously interviewed different people on the show, particularly the other contestants, and must have specifically asked about Heather. This is another thing that this YouTuber talks about as well, is that they, and what I've learned from watching maths and stuff and hearing what they say after the show, obviously the producers are trying to get certain information, certain phrases out of people so they can weave it into their own narrative. But like, there was this one aside, I don't remember who it was, didn't care enough to write, but they say that Heather's a gorgeous girl, but she can't socialise very well, and something is off. Absolute walloped on the head for that. And they did this awful photo shoot. They do so many awful, corny, unusable like shoots on this show. They did this anti-smoking shoot, and like, this show just has a lot of other ableism they like to throw in. In this particular shoot, like, the girls having cancer was like a huge thing, so they just kept, oh yeah, I was imagining I had cancer, and it's just like, okay. And okay, so this is the first like proper photo shoot. They paired Heather with somebody and nobody else was paired with anybody else in this shoot. Of course they pair the socially awkward autistic one with somebody else. They're literally just asking for that. Like, they literally just did it to highlight her socially awkwardness. Later on in the show, I think it's towards the end of the shoot maybe, I don't know, but she's talking about having a headache from all of the yelling from the other girls. I don't know whether they were arguing or just being like very excitable, but oh, such a mood. And like, literally everybody comments on her social skills. Like, it's a regular one that keeps coming up, and it's like, if you know this is to do with her disability, shut the fuck up. Babe, somebody else has already said it. Shut up. It's literally in my notes as well that it must be producers asking specific like leading questions. Again, we see Heather taking time out a lot to be by herself, you know, self-regulation, needing time to just like process all the sensory stimulation, all of the massive change to her daily routine by literally being in a place she doesn't know that isn't her own home with a bunch of people she doesn't know, probably unable to do a lot of the things that she would usually do for like self-regulation. And you can definitely see as this season progresses that it gets a lot harder for her to mask those things or even find time and space to self-regulate. And then like, yeah, they were all sat together, all the models, all the wannabe models, and one of them was just, they were talking about this with Heather, and one of them just goes, yeah, explain it, because we don't know. And I was just like, I think this is one of the ones that went to like get second place, and I was disappointed in her. Honestly, a lot of the girls were really fucking horrible. They were so mean to her face, behind her back, within earshot. It was pretty gnarly. People were chatting shit about her being messy or weird when she was literally within earshot, as if she, I don't know, as if her disability makes her unable to hear. People are just so ignorant of disability that they just think they can say what the fuck ever. Miss J is saying that the girls get nowhere because they don't listen and don't pay attention, and I was like, this is for one of the challenges, and I was just like, right, let's see what happens, let's see. And it's like all the other girls were trying to tell Heather to wear something trendy, be trendy, put on some trendy clothes, and I was like, well, number one, what is even trendy? Miss J said simple, classic for model type things. Trendy is not simple or classic, my love. You know, basics aren't trendy, they're just basics. I think she did okay. She went for like some decently fitting like jeans. She did have like 2 tank tops layered, which I thought was fine. I didn't think it was terrible. And she sort of like, I don't know whether she tied it or something, but she made them sort of look like a crop top. Didn't use any accessories. There was this one person on the show who was doing my head in because her name was Victoria. She was acting very high and mighty about like she doesn't talk shit about other girls behind their back. So she wasn't participating in the other girls talking shit about Heather. And then it just shows you her sitting in the same room and then not saying anything. And it's like, that is just as bad, if not worse, because you're acting above all of this, but you're not gonna say shit. And like, of course, the usual disclaimer of reality TV records a lot of stuff and the way they edit it doesn't always cut the same way, but I think they probably would have kept that bit in if she did stand up against the girls talking shit, because they love drama. They love drama, so why wouldn't they keep that in? It was just really frustrating. And then like some other plain Jane looking bitch thinks Heather will like cling on to her if she's too nice to her, which is like, I've heard this so many times over the years, either about me or about other people who I think probably were autistic too. Like, people just won't be nice to you in case you start like actually hanging out with them. And again, Heather can hear all this, so she ends up calling her mum to get support, and I was like, oh, what a mood. Me. And she says things like, I don't feel like I can trust them. I was like, yeah, you can't, babes. You can't, babes. You absolutely cannot fucking trust these bitches, you know? Yeah, you know best, babes. Trust your autistic gut instincts, love. And then the judging, she's sort of fading into the distance is what they were saying. Step forward, blah, blah, you know, the usual shit mind games of trying to make people feel more self-conscious. They won't do so well the next week or whatever, you know, it's all just mind games bullshit. And they said that she shouldn't have layered her t-shirts, it should have been one or the other, but she had great photos. And she was the first person to hug the one who went home, and always seems genuinely sad and upset when someone goes home. Moving on to episode 3, there's quite a few episodes. I'm trying to speed through as much as possible. The girls decided to actually be fucking nice. So they gave her a little like makeover, they did her hair, did her makeup, and they were being nice, making her feel included. And then we're getting some more fun ableist asides where like Bianca thinks that Heather's disability gives her a leg up that she doesn't deserve. And everyone was just saying that Heather looks really good and looks more happy and at ease after like having some bonding time. It's like, duh, you're actually being nice to her and including her. Walking training. They put everyone in straitjackets. Why?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. And again, they were mean about Heather's walk, and she needs to adjust her like neck posture to be more upright. I also have terrible posture. My chiropractor has told me all about how my posture is fucked and why, and how it is really common in autistic people. Something to do with pelvic instability. Thanks for validating my autism, babes. Then we have the runway challenge. Heather recognises the designer and is really excited. She had a hard dress to walk in and there wasn't like a lot of like striding room, but I don't think she did terribly, especially considering she's not great at walking. You know, she didn't fall, she got through it, whatever. She was called elegant, which I thought was like a little bit surprising but very nice, but her neck posture was mentioned. But the designer was actually kind when doing like that, when talking about that and bringing that up. I swear to God, nobody else on that show is ever kind when they give that kind of feedback. They then did a shoot that was like cool and creative. Photographer was excited. The girl who looks like Rihanna is what I dubbed her, I can't remember her name either, was proud of Heather for doing so well, which was nice. Heather says that she likes everyone and that they all started complimenting her and saying she's building like her self-esteem and has like a natural talent. Like, it's just so hot cold with these girls and how they treat Heather, and oh my god, literally the autistic experience of just like not doing anything differently and then everyone just deciding how to treat you based on how they feel that day. Judging. She looks like a model in her outfit. She's an artist. and draws eyes a lot, so she feels like that's helped with her modelling and stuff like that. Judges were asking the most ridiculous questions. Again, autism stuff about eye contact. How did you do such great eye contact with the imaginary person off camera? Tyra, you answered your own fucking question.
There was no one there. There was no one to make eye contact with. Tyra.
The fuck? But also, like, a lot of autistics in careers like modelling, performing, etc., you have to mask anyway when doing those things, and in short bursts you can mask eye contact. But like, she genuinely answered her own question. Heather was not looking at anyone. I also made I was watching this season and thinking, God, there are definitely more than Heather who's autistic this season. But there were definitely a lot of other people where I'm just like, you're all acting fucking autistic too, so why are you so mean to Heather? Just because she knows what it is. And then the plain Jane, who was convinced that Heather would cling on to her, went home that week.
No.
Episode 4, it's the hair makeovers, finally. They didn't do anything to her hair, basically. They gave it a trim, changed where her parting was, and gave it like a little bit of a warmer, dark hair dye, but otherwise they like her vibe. Makeup challenge for CoverGirl, not much focus on her. The shoot, they gave her weeds, so like it was a flower plant shoot. So of course they gave her weeds. They didn't give her something pretty, delicate, or beautiful. They gave her something creepy and weird. She did great. But yeah, grimy and dirty. Everyone else gets to be delicate and pretty. They show the staff showing Heather the rendering so that she could visualize what like they expected, but they did show that they did this for someone else, but I don't know if they did that for everybody. At judging, they basically were like, yeah, you're really haunting and intriguing, one of the best photos, and you look like art, and you're blending in with the weeds but not getting lost, and the photographer loved her. She has great eyes, again, and did exactly what he asked. Another thing that comes up a lot in this is that she's really good at responding to feedback, which I personally relate to that quite a lot. If you give me feedback, I can adjust whatever. But if you don't give me feedback, I don't fucking know what to do, my G. Like, I felt that. Episode 5. Heather has joined in with the bitching and critique of other people, except nobody likes it. And if anything, it's almost like a show pony vibe of like, tell me what you think about me. But she's also like actually saying it to people's faces as well, which is the difference. But then she's also honest about her own flaws. She's not like pretending she's better than anybody else. Posing challenge on the trampoline. Coordination, fucking terrible. It was so bad. Oh yeah, they were posing on ice, and she hates the cold, which is such a mood. I think that's also something related to autism, is the inability to deal with like temperature changes and like temperature regulation problems. I got that one as well. So yeah, she wasn't comfortable. She can't ice skate. Oh, that's what it was. They had to pose while skating around and with some dude who was then going to pick them up and do poses. It was so bad. She did the worst because like I would be just as bad. You want me to trust this absolute fucking stranger to just lift me up whilst I can't even skate like a normal person on ice? No, thank you. And like the judging was like, oh, it looked like you didn't want to be up there. No way. I had no idea I looked like that. I actually really loved it. It was amazing. The shoot, fashion gargoyles. It's just it sucks, whatever. She did great again. They are starting to get picky about her eye contact in photos and only giving a side profile. And it's like, well, you guys are the ones picking it. And that is what the photographers are fucking asking for. That is not her fault. And then judging, confident, but profile. And again, like I said, the photographer literally was asking her to do it.
Episode 6.
Challenge was about a charity campaign. Heather's team won. They were just pretty straightforward, didn't really have like a silly theme with it, and just used some props. Like they wrote on these big boards and just would drop the boards to reveal the next fact or whatever. Like, yeah, it wasn't over the top. They just did what they normally do. And Heather actually won a photo shoot and she got to practice some straight on photos and they were great. We also see a bit of like stimming when she's being complimented by someone who she thinks is cool. I think it was that whoever she did this photo shoot for, whatever brand that was, I don't know. Bianca says in an aside, I think, I don't remember, but I just quoted it. She's my biggest competition because she doesn't have to do much to look good on camera. She baffles me. As if she's not trying to do a good job. Episode 7 was literally just recaps and B-roll, so I just skipped it. I didn't care. Episode 8, filming an advert and music video practices. So Heather was not good, really, because of her balance and coordination, but she did get better by the end. And again, this was one of the episodes where she responds well to feedback. She's described as like a Tim Burton kind of like sexy sexuality, like dark and weird, which is like fair. That is the kind of vibe she brings. She's very pale. She's very like tall, slim, long dark hair. And then also, side note, that this season was just like really fucking fat phobic because they had a girl who was bigger than like straight size models, but not big enough really for plus size. And they were just really fucking awful to her all the time. Like, I estimate she was maybe a size, like, UK 12. She was straight-sized, but with, like, maybe a bit more bum and a bit more boob than the other girls there. But the music video, they actually added more emphasis to feature Heather, because she had that gothic look that they were looking for the shoot. So they gave the main role to somebody else there, but because they liked Heather's look so much, they specifically gave her extra scenes to do. This wasn't talking though, so it was all good. There was no lines to be learned. It was just looking hot. Like, everyone was in the video, but they, made extra time for Heather to be a bit more featured. And she did a really good job, but she hadn't eaten since breakfast and nearly passed out on the set, and they had to call the ambulance and stuff. And like, people were actually upset and worried for her during that episode, but there were some people who were like, oh, she's just weak, she's not like up to the challenge. And it's like, my dude, I struggle to remember to eat food when I'm taken out of my routine too, and that happens to me a lot as well. That's why I have to, like, if I'm going anywhere, I have to bring snacks. I have to think about where I'm going to pick up food or drink through the day, because that happens to me all the time. With fucked up interoception, you're not always aware that you're hungry until you're absolutely desperately fucking hungry.
But anyway, episode 9, Heather is sad because her friend went home in the previous episode.
I've got a dead foot. I don't know how to sit so that my foot stops hurting. The challenge this week was inspiring a designer to create an outfit to reflect your own personality. Heather ended up with kind of a dick, to be honest. He had such weird vibes. Like, he said he doesn't usually have to work so hard when it comes to like working with a model. It's like, well, you're just being unbearable. You're giving nothing. And then Heather is really upset because the dress was absolutely nothing to do with her. I think she said that she's a fire sign, and she's not really like the water. And then he makes a dress inspired by the ocean or some shit. And they had to talk in the runway. Like, not only is she not good at runway, she's not good at talking. So that didn't go well. There was no time to prepare for any of this either. They just sort of sprung it on them, which, as autistic, I need time to prepare. Even if you just like warn me that this is like, it's gonna happen, then I can sort of like prepare myself for it. She gets really upset at messing up, but there is another one who also messed up and got really upset that she messed up too. And then they both got critique on getting upset and how they should just like deal with it. And it's like, this is a very human response, actually. Heather's aside was very autistic. Like, I'm not the ocean. I'm not a water sign. I'm a fire sign. So I also relate to that as an astrology autistic. And some of the others tried to get in the shower before Heather when she called dibs. and she lost her shit. She lost her shit. Like, it seems like they had one massive shower that they could all, like, share. Like, it must have had, like, several different shower heads in it. So I don't know. Like, I don't know why she was so mad. Like, I do, but, like, I don't really, because if they all shared, like, showers anyway, what's the issue? But yeah, she lost her shit. So it starts an argument when everyone's just naked. Like, they're all just shouting at each other naked. And then, like, people just continue picking at her when she's obviously not in a good mood. Like, it was probably just something so minor, but she was already so on edge from other stuff going on that she just lost her shit at this. And, like, everyone just thinks it's funny picking at her. Her shoot wasn't great because she was frustrated by everything else. And she says at judging that it's been a hard week and that she tried hard at the challenge. And then, oh my god, the guy who was at the challenge decides to pipe up because he's on the panel this week. What a loser. Absolute loser. Yeah, he pipes up like,
I guess I'll speak as this was directed at me. It's a business, it's not personal.
and I was just like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. And what? You can still be upset that you had a bad week, even if it's not personal. Fuck off. You know, it can still be hard even when you're just having an off week. Episode 10, they go to Shanghai in China. Lovely. Heather has always wanted to go to China, so you get a little bit of autistic special interest vibes going on. There's a lot more of the I hate Heather train from the others still going on. Like, when they're all packing to go, Bianca is asking her to move out the way so she can move her suitcase, but I don't think Heather heard her because she was hyper-focused, hyper-fixated on the task of packing. You know, that fun ADHD autistic combo. But they were just so mean about it. When they got to Shanghai, Heather didn't get to claim a bed because she was distracted by looking at the rest of the apartment and thinking how cool it was. There was one double bed that could have been shared, but whoever it was that claimed the double bed was like, no, I'm not sharing with you. So yeah, Heather gets frustrated. Bianca points out that it's just funny to see Heather wound up. Heather says, I wish I could get the joke, and Bianca goes, you are the joke. Which is just such an autistic experience of bullying. Heather talks about how she feels looked down on. Chantal, in her aside, is talking about not liking that she sees this happening a lot to Heather, that the others are just ganging up on her and picking on her. So she made an effort to try and like diffuse that, which was nice, and sort out two people who don't mind sharing a bed. And there was just this small moment when, as they were leaving to go somewhere, that Chantal had to remind Heather to close the front door when they left. Mood. The challenge, again, Heather was good at it. It was heights and doing karate moves. She won this one. Again, special interest activated. The shoot is a commercial. She struggles a lot because it's memorizing lines or reading. Like, she ended up getting the cue cards or something brought out and it was still difficult. Oh, it wasn't cue cards. They fed her the lines audibly, which is so bad. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I would rather read it than try to remember the sentence you just said to me. No. Yeah, it just wasn't, it didn't go great. And also, like, I made a note, they did this whole shoot inside. Why the fuck did they do this shoot in Shanghai? They literally could have just done this at home. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, I mean, I wrote as well, like, at least Heather didn't fall apart and cry, but Lisa did. And, you know, I get it. I fucking hate this shit, you know? Episode 11 is our last one, and it's the Go Sees challenge.
No.
Basically, she could not navigate this place to fuck. She could not navigate this place. They gave maps to everyone that didn't have any English translations at all. It was all in Chinese. Obviously, no one was prepared for Go Sees either. The Tyra Mail never really tells you what you're doing. And apparently they had like just taken their laundry to go get done, so even like Chantal was not prepared and had this like black and bright pink lacy thong on when she should have had a nude one. And yeah, just at one of the go-sees, the only go-see Heather made it to, they were saying it's important for you to have good eye contact. Do one more that has eye contact. And I was just like, of course, she gets the one go-see she manages to go on is someone who's like really, really adamant about fucking eye contact. She finds the car to go to the next go-see, then can't find the next go-see at all, and then can't find the car to go back to wherever it is they have to go back to for this challenge. One of the girls found her, like, just in the street from their car. She was like, yeah, I just can't find the car. And this girl, like, recounted this to everyone when she got back before Heather did, as if Heather was just, like, an idiot, or, like, she doesn't care because she wasn't crying. And it's like, no, no, it's the flat effect. We just don't always show emotion in the typical way that you would expect because it's very internal. On the shoot, the others were watching. Heather was last, and the others were just like making comments really loudly. And like even Nigel told them to be quiet, but she wasn't doing good. Again, I think she'd had a rough week. Doesn't help when the others are being fucking assholes all the time. And then the judging, she ends up with a good photo. And then like Nigel butts in to say, oh, she can't communicate well, but then forgets about all the girls being fucking horrible and annoying on the shoot, doesn't mention that at all, and how inappropriate their behaviour was at any point. And then Heather goes home. I think she was 5th, which I think is pretty good. Well done. I just wanted to go through it because, again, you know me, I love looking at old media and autism, especially when America's Next Top Model was like a special interest show of mine for a period of time in my teen years. That's like all I would watch on telly. Yeah, it's interesting to go back and look at it and just see how it's funny because like in one way it's like they genuinely treated her no differently to how they treat everybody else. They used any possible methods they could to find her weak spots, to upset her, to emotionally dysregulate her, and throw her off at every opportunity they could. It's just that when you have a disability, when you are autistic, and you talk about what that means because people are asking, and you think, I'm autistic, so I take people at face value, you are just handing them you're just handing them the guidebook of how to fuck with you. And I think that if I had been on a show like that, or if I would be on a show like that, I would just not engage, I think, at this point, because the shows are genuinely made to cause drama and create a entirely different plot or storyline. Like, that's something I learned recently as well, is that reality TV have writers. They have writers to create storylines for the season. I didn't know that. And that also has added to and changed my perceptions of how reality TV works and what they do. And genuinely just solidified the fact that I will never go on reality TV because they are fucked. They are awful. It's so bad that I would just never do that to myself. But yeah, like, this was a huge show that showed a real autistic person in real things that were happening. They really called it a disability, and they really showed how fucked up some people could be, but it was portrayed in that way that it always is, where you're supposed to find her annoying and frustrating. You're supposed to be on everybody else's side of like, why is she like this? This disability stuff is rubbish, and she is getting this leg up that she doesn't deserve, blah, blah, blah. So like, whilst I was analysing it from an autistic perspective, I could also still see the point of view that they were still using to sell the show to non-autistic people. Anyway, I hope you liked that video. This has been quite a long one to film as well, but hey, if you like it, let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section, leave a like, algorithm things, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of me, share the video as well if you'd like, if you know someone who would be interested in seeing this. It all helps support me, a small creative, to hopefully reach my dreams of never having to work under somebody else ever again. Pathological demand avoidance, who? Persistent, whatever the other version that people now call it. I don't know. What the fuck do they call it? I'll put it on the screen if I remember, but what the fuck ever. I need a break. I need to lay down. It's warm. Yeah, I will see you next week. Bye.